Well, good morning, everybody. This is going to be a test flight of the H145. Now, this is a replay video, so I'll tell you that up front. Could not get. Now, I'm flying in X-Plane 11, Beta 6. So it's X-Plane 11.40B6. And I could not get this helicopter, the engine started in the normal fashion. I even pulled up the picture that showed the procedure for starting the engines, the quick start and so on, and couldn't do it. Wouldn't happen. So what I ended up doing is going ahead and just start the helicopter's engines running. So that's what you're going to see, and at that point things got even more interesting. So let's take a look at it here. Still working on trying to get the engine started here, and this just goes on. I'm at San Francisco International and just going to do a quick fly around, fly around the Golden Gate and come back. And this being a replay, you'll see that most of the gauges and so on are not showing working application on the dash and everything. It's a nice helicopter. It's well appointed. This is version 3. It was originally for X-Plane 10, and now it's been upgraded to X-Plane 11, and I'm sure there's going to be continued upgrades, which is going to be great. It's a nice little helicopter. So here we go. The engines are starting up. Now this helicopter can hold 10 passengers, so but it goes into yellow for your speed, just over or right at 100 knots. So you can't fly it as fast as some of the other helicopters we fly in X-Plane. But as I said, nicely appointed cockpit. Dual FMS or FMCs. Also has a Garmin 430 in it. Why you need both, I don't know, but that makes life easy for people that may not know how to use the FMC. Use the Garmin 430. As you can see, it's a pretty little helicopter. The other thing I noticed is there didn't appear to be any real throttle control. The throttles on the Collective are non-operational. So when you're starting it up, you go from nothing to idle and then to flight. And as far as I can tell, that's it. But it is also, you can find this on the xplane.org. It's freeware. Download it. So, freeware helicopters, this nicely appointed. Hey, there's no complaints. Anybody that takes the time, or any group of people that take the time to build a freeware aircraft and to this detail and are still working on upgrades. This is version 3. I think it's 3.1. I've got no complaints and can only applaud their efforts, because I don't have the technical expertise to do this, and it takes a lot of work and time. So let's take off. And you see, it's not that hard to hover, to do little side slips. We're going to head pretty much around behind where we're at right now. So hand flying, not a lot of issues. I did a lot. Not started. It's because it's not that messy. Okay. And here I'm trying to work with the force feedback, or not force feedback, force trim. Had some issues with that. Working on trying to get things trimmed and just kind of feel the bird out. Flying over Mr. X scenery. San Francisco and, of course, San Francisco International. So finally got it under control. I've got the autopilot on just to test it. Because normally I would just hand fly this short flight. But I wanted to test everything and got it going. Seemed to be going okay, and I was kind of looking around, multitasking actually, looking at stuff on my other monitor, glancing back at controls and so on. Now I use the Warthog HOTAS flight system, and it set up controls, and at this point the autopilot just kind of quit. The autopilot has turned off, and it's just the aircraft is starting to just fly on its own. And I'm trying to figure out what exactly happened. Why did it turn off? got it under control at this point. What I'm working with at this point is I want it to follow a heading. That's all I need. I just want it to follow a heading. And I'm working on trying to get the heading bug to move. And it was a little bit confusing because I found out finally all I have to do is basically push on the button and it'll move either left or right. I was trying to hold my mouse and move it that way like we do quite often in our cockpits for different turning switches and our knobs and so on, and it just wasn't working very well. But if you just held it over the knob and pressed my mouse button, it would, and held it, it would move. So. And here, the autopilot once again just shut off. Got it back on again. It's following the heading. So we had a bit of a fight with this first flight. She was a bit of a bear for a while. And of course I was trying to get used to how the controls reacted with this particular helicopter, and looking at the gauges. It's a glass cockpit, and trying to see how different things work. And of course we're in South San Francisco, Industrial City. South of the Bay Bridge and the Golden Gate in Alcatraz. And once again, the autopilot disengages, unknown reason, and it went completely out of trim. Started falling out of the sky. I wrestled with it, got it back in tow so we're not sinking anymore. Trying to get it under control. Like I said, it was a bit of a bear. Thought there was about half a dozen times I thought I was going to completely lose it and crash this helicopter. And it was only through my superior technique and piloting skills that I saved the day. And of course, if you believe that, I've got some swamp land in Florida. I'd be happy to sell you. All you have to do is move the swamp and the gators to a building. So, our little trek moves on. Finally got the helicopter somewhat under control. So I decided, okay, work on the trim some more. Yep, forced trim, what fun. It's really drastic in this helicopter. Again, it could be the way my controls are set up. I usually set up my Warthog in the Warthog for individual helicopters. And this one I have a setting that's just a generic helicopter. And that's what I was using, and apparently I need to fine tune it for this particular helicopter. But it was a fight. Like I said, there was half a dozen times I thought I was going to completely lose it and crash this bird. So, went with a force trim to get the nose down a little bit, and yeah, she went to town. So, I got control back. Set up my heading, hit the autopilot, and then just flew it. At this point, was just flying it using the autopilot controls to follow ahead. So needless to say, I learned a lot in this very first flight. I think it's could be a really fun helicopter to fly, and even in FS economy, you could do some good money jobs. It has a capacity to carry 10 passengers. Now, I have never seen one of these helicopters in the real world in operation, so I don't really know what they sound like, but I know inside, I think they've really got to work on their sounds, because that just does not sound good at all. So I finally settled. We got an altitude of about 168 feet, moving along at about between 60 and 70 knots. Not fast, just want to cruise along. We've got the Bay Bridge over there to our left. That's where we're going to be heading. And we're now flying over the San Francisco Bay Area. And as you can see, I was flying not long before sunset. I believe it comes with 6 different liveries. This is the default livery, but most of them are yellow, because it's set up as a rescue helicopter. But again, as a freeware option for flying helicopters, this is a nice addition to the X-Plane family. Absolutely. Naturally, it's not as nice as some of the other helicopters we fly. But again, I think with more development, this could be a really fine addition to anybody's hangar. They need to work on a flight manual for it, and give us more insight into better procedures. Fly by San Francisco. So we've gone under the Bay Bridge. We're going to head out over to the Golden Gate and Alcatraz. But as you can see, once I got things kind of figured out, kind of got things settled down as we fly by Alcatraz, she works fine. Now, hopefully before my next flight, and it'll be a more in-depth flight, I'll learn what the problem is and how to fix my situation with getting the engines to operate. Because what they would do is I'd follow the procedures just like I'm supposed to. They would run up and then just shut down, turn themselves off. So my N2 gauge, when I was trying to start up the engines, would never change from 0, and it's supposed to go up to 100 for each engine, and the needle wouldn't even, and the indicator, digital indicator, wouldn't even move. But a good looking helicopter, nicely done. The group that's developed this has done a very, very nice job. I want to thank them for all their hard work, because they've made a good product. They really have. And I appreciate all their hard work that they've done with this. Like I said, it's freeware, so I've got no right to complain, and I wouldn't. There's just some improvements and some assistance on learning how to get this bird flying without cheating. Fly past the Golden Gate, we're going to make a turn to head back towards the city. And as they do improvements with the sounds and PBR texturing and further updates, this is just going to be a fine helicopter. I would recommend anybody to get it and add it to their hangars, and for both FS economy and maybe even flight jobs, which is another network for vertical airways to make, virtual airways to make money. And at this point, the old dog here was multitasking and trying to even take some screenshots of the helicopter and the surrounding area and not paying attention. And this is what happens. Yeah, okay. As always, pilot error. So, this is a quick down and dirty look at this nice helicopter. Fine freeware, and I sure hope you enjoyed it. And until next time, this is Bug Eater 64 saying so long and safe flying.